bad about those two picks that you went with right there. So, Corey, a little bit of a hole perhaps when it comes to this draft, even though they do have that Shadow Fiend opener that we stressed is a very, very, very good one. Just overall right now in the meta, and it looks like it's going to end up in the hands of Lumi this game, where Analog will play that Pango. That means likely need their off lane as that final pick, and the Broodmother is already taken away as a cheese option there. So.
Yeah, no, the homage today. This could still be a Pangolier free. Maybe you just accept that, like, you want to relegate his priority because he's now hard counted. We'll see which way they want to play in that regard. I think it's a lot harder to make the raw right-click Pango work compared to the older days where you used to have the slow with the disarm. And we remember how absurd it was seeing the mid-Pangos constantly in the American regions especially. But like rounding these drafts out, looking at what RNG don't have, the Enigma provides decent push. They have really great team fight with the Disruptor plus Enigma, not to mention good saturation between the Tiny and Bloodseeker. I wouldn't mind seeing just another kind of frontline brawler that can go in, that can kind of body these fights alongside the Bloodseeker. You could also see them go for an amped up type of carry out of the mid. Something akin to the Templar Assassin comes to mind. And I think considering a lot of the bans that Hokori have done already, they somewhat enable that TA pick.
10 seconds remaining.
And that's definitely possible with what would be the final pick for RNG right there. But I also, again, love to analyze this, the player cams, and maybe overthinking it too much, but I saw that Brewmaster ban happen, and then the disappointment look almost came off like, dang, we were planning to play that. But they're not going to get the Brewmaster. They're going to get the Mars instead. So it still feels pretty strong. Yeah, I think that's a solid pick.
The only tough one about Mars is when you do this against Bloodseeker Disruptor, I think these are two of the best heroes in the game to counter Mars. Like, what you have is this issue where you commit with an arena, and if the Disruptor's quick with his fingers, he drops a Static Storm, you probably don't get the Spear out. Bloodseeker can also get delayed silence on any follow-up coming into the arena. One plus side for Hokori is that Pangolier, he'll be magic immune when he does follow up. But the downside once again comes to the Bloodseeker with the Rupture. So RNG, like their draft looks more well-rounded, and yeah, nothing too cheesy, nothing too risky to round it out. They go for a tempo type mid that's able to get around the map, be present. It's not that juicer I was expecting where Bloodseeker will amp up this other person, but I think what the Ember Spirit offers you is a good lane against the Pangolier, and also a way of matching and actually exceeding his rotations across the map.
Yeah, I'm just fine with that. As you said, it's kind of just a not too out there finish. I think RNG definitely drafting very well. That Bloodseeker specifically was a great one. There is the silencer factor into the Enigma, but we've had a conversation over and over about that already, KP, throughout this event in terms of why that doesn't necessarily matter in the big picture for Enigma. He's going to have a great landing phase still potentially, and he can still build those items, and there will still even be the black hole threat as a possibility. So I do like RNG's lineup. Hokori, it's going to be a bit of an uphill battle for them, and I'm curious to see how much they are up for the challenge here.
Yeah, I think another thing to consider, like, although those things throw down when a Mars jumps in with an arena, there's my factor as well, right? If he just picks the pulse against these bulky heroes, that's going to hurt. The bright side I see to Hokori, before we get too much on the RNG wagon, is that they've finished the draft off with a way that enables the silencer aggressively. Because I mentioned all those counters to Mars going in, but when he goes in with an arena, you global silence, and then you're set up for a fight. The global silence will buy enough time for the Pangolier to hunt for more, and there's always going to be a clockwork looming. So I think while they were drafting from behind going into this final phase, they probably got one of the best ways to round this out. An initiation type hero that brings the silencer back into the picture. And to a positive note, it puts Hokori in a position to play the game aggressively instead of reactively, which I think is where we see Hokori look weaker.
Yeah, worth pointing out too, as far as who's playing what specifically to that silencer. Theolacor is going to be playing the silencer. He is technically their position 4, so a little bit more farm priority. I suppose you could look at that over the Clockwork, where it does feel like Clockwork himself certainly got, dare I say, maybe not hard. I mean, yeah, he got pretty countered. Between the Bloodseeker, even there's a Disruptor. It's going to be a difficult game for Clockwork to be as useful as he's used to being. So I like that change up here from Hokori.
There are hopes for his usefulness. There's something he can do as we hop into the first game between RNG and Hokori. He can always just blindly hook shot, close his eyes, go towards that Enigma, knowing he's going to die, but knowing that he stopped the black hole. I think that's what he's been relegated to. for the most in this game. And smoke movements out by both sides. You can see, actually, Hokori should be more confident about finding a fight. So I think RNG are up to fire there. Like, if you think about the level 1s on these two sides, Hokori definitely have a lot more kill threat on the two sides.
Yeah, that is certain. So RNG having to respect that. Again,
yeah, it was about the vision for RNG, actually. I think they only got one of their 2 wards down. That's why they were moving north so aggressively. Yeah, Kaka's still got his wards. So unfortunate for them, you can see Hokori beat them to the punchline. They got a nice deep ward near the high ground of the Radiant area, and then they also have coverage around the mid.
I say that.
Did they get deep warded?
Oh.
No, they just dropped on the sentry. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, deep ward just placed, meanwhile, by Kaka. Gets it in there, and I don't think that was necessarily seen. They might be suspicious of it, but...
He came from the right side, right? Yeah,
Yep,
so he's fine. Because they warded, you can see they warded on the slopes, so they would have seen him if he came along the river. Yeah, so nice little sneak in the end. Does get one down. And you'll notice that once again, they've done this ward that I think RNG do more often than any other team at the moment, where they drop an observer on the central ramp. Logic here is that they're able to move quicker to the runes than their opponent. So whenever they see, for example, Analog going north, they'll follow him and then route him and then pass him.
Oh, off the bat, Analog jumping in with a shield crash, and of course, right off the bat for Somnus, he's got the flame guard and sitting on top of Analog, so not afraid to trade some damage early on in the game. Noticing the top lane there too, by the way, Lumi with the races, of course. It was a good job by Chalice of actually spreading out the Eidolons and not giving the free CS to the Shadow Fiend.
Yeah,
when it came to those races.
You need to be very careful. Like these Eidolons early on, you can just escalate the Shadow Fiend problem once he has level 2 the Necro Mastery. Key thing to keep in mind with the mid lane, we've seen this matchup once or twice before. As long as you level Flame Guard as fast as possible, you can never be purged until level 6 the Pango. So I do expect Somnus to get a more comfortable start to this lane than Analog.
And so far it's quite a bit of a start over him, yeah.
It's just so annoying. Like you can't walk in. So some heroes have this ability to get rid of that Flame Guard, right? But if you shield crash in, you'll damage reduce, but you won't purge the Flame Guard.
Seems like we've been seeing a fair amount of these Pangos mid that are in a bit of a not ideal matchup, or have a bit of a struggle in another case here, but still ultimately able to recover as the levels add up, and then eventually hit level 6, rotate, set up a kill.
Yeah,
be very useful throughout.
It's just kind of weird because usually what you'll see is level 1 will be Pango favored because Shield Crash will at least break Flame Guard, but now we're reaching this point I'm talking about where you level Flame Guard twice and then all of a sudden Shield Crash doesn't work anymore. Funny detail though is Somnus, because he's confident, because Analog keeps using Shield Crash first, he sticks to a level 1 Flame Guard. As I'm talking about that, looks like Feel it might be hemorrhaging first blood in the bot lane to Ghost.
Yeah, and Ghost is able to get that last hit on him, the Thunder Strike, keeping the vision up if anything, as well as assisting with a bit more damage to make that kill happen. So yeah, Silencer having some trouble down here at the bottom lane. Bloodseeker Disruptor not afraid to fight. Top lane, there's just the cogs going out. Blocking into some Eidolons, trying to help with some CS, yeah.
It's a cool way of actually playing the Clockwork on this lane. I mean, like I said before, in the old days, you would have just dropped cogs and said, Lumia, hit these, but you can't do that anymore. So, nice way of still using cogs to get souls. Indirectly, of course.
Of course. No more of the cog denies there to add up the
yeah, I feel like I have to keep reminding people because it was such a central thing for so long in Dota 2.
Oh yeah, seeing that right from the beginning of the game, it's the cogs going up in the fountain and Shadow Fiend just sitting there. All right, let me add up my souls. Let's go.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, is that like meant to be a message on AI sentience or something? I mean, like do cogs really have souls?
Let's not start that again.
Hey man, I'm just asking the philosophical questions.
Analog's actually,
he's catching up.
Doing not too bad. Yeah, 21-0 against 24-1 on the Ember, so not too shabby.
I think what I like is his choice to go Blightstone. So the Blightstone, instead of him trying to find a way to deal this Flame Guard at all, he's like, how do I just do more raw damage? Sigma in a lot of trouble here. It's going to be brought down, and not the start you really want to have if you're RNG. Felt like this should have been a safe lane, but got to give a lot of credit to Gardic and his positioning so far in the early phases.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to, again, putting the Clockwork in position 5 to play with the Shadow Fiend. And he is being very useful at the top lane. And again, overall, the game is maybe a struggle for him, but he's making the best of this laning phase and really securing the victory for Shadow Fiend, if anything. Trying to, what do we talk about? You know, Enigma will get his farm no matter what. Well, he's still getting farm, but he's making it at least a bit more difficult in a lot of games.
And there is a problematic knock-on effect from this. Like, when you draft Bloodseekers, you're relying on your other lanes to brawl successfully. But if you just start hemorrhaging kills and always retreating against this type of heroes, your Bloodseeker doesn't get empowered. So it's much harder for him to win his lane, and it makes it much easier for Hokori to just cruise through this laning phase that should otherwise be uncomfortable.
Ghost is so fast down here at the bottom of that thirst.
Alright, Kaka's just gone. There's no way to get out of this. They ignore Charles and walk past him. Hokori are styling on this top lane.
Bottom lane. They're going for the kill on Theolacore. Going to pull him back with a glimpse. Trap him in the dome. And Theolacore just going to put the curse out before he dies, actually. Maybe set up a turn for Vitaly, but it's not a... It is a... yeah, they get the kill on Disruptor as well, but while that was taking place, there was also the turn kill on a Clockwork, as you referenced there.
Yeah, I think that was somewhat intentional. So Charles could see the Clockwork, but he didn't kill him straight away. Partially because Clockwork backed away with the cogs, but afterwards he just kind of hung around but didn't insta-kill because Ghost was benefiting from that via the first in the bot lane. Just great coordination from RNG to get kills on both sides of the map. Oh, wrong fun. Okay, yeah, Analog knows that's a bit too ambitious, but after all that, due to Kaka coming in the mid lane maybe a little bit too soon, it's a slower level 6 for Ember, which means that Theo rotates in and Analog is now able to pressure onto the tower.
We also have rotation coming in from Gardic on that Clockwork. Tiny meanwhile gets a combo though on Silencer. Theolacore going the wrong path right there, feeling extra safe for some reason. And Kaka says, you're in our side of the town now, and throws him in for the kill.
Just feel like Padme in that moment. You're on the wrong path, Anakin. It's the path to despair for poor little Sansa. It's not... It's kind of a weird feeling when you rotate like that. Like, you know you shouldn't be that deep, but you see that you have level 6 before the Ember. But Somnus was able to snatch 6 off one of the creeps just behind the tower. At that point, you shouldn't be in the area anymore. Just good rotation out of RNG to punish an overextension. Top. Well, Chalice is in trouble. A lot of trouble.
In fact, he's dead trouble. I saw Lumi there. He was the one that's got him initially, but with Pango showing up, there was no chance that RNG was going to win that fight. So the haste rune coming in a big play for Analog. Not only helps save his Shadow Fiend team in. In fact, look at this, though. Pango's going to sit top, and Shadow Fiend will now TP to the mid lane. Yep. So we got our rotation coming out.
And there was the counterattack on the other side. So RNG did pounce upon the Mars in the bot lane. They were able to run him down, so Ghost does get a kill to his name. 3 kills already for the Bloodseeker. This brawl lane is going incredibly well for the safe lane of RNG.
And the glimpse back. Oh no, that's the... Yeah, you got to keep that in mind against Disruptor. Whenever you TP in, he gets sent right back to base.
I love that idea, actually, that one thing that makes this combo on the lane really good is not just the fact that I'd say Disruptor is one of the better POS 5s in the game, one of the best POS 5s in the game at trading out efficiently. It's that you are able to be deeper because Bloodseeker's always pushing in. And speaking of pushing in, 4 heroes bought for RNG, releasing this kill. And the reason that pushing is important, by the way, is it means that X-Nova is parked in position to do those glimpse backs that you just saw from Mars. Like, it's such a fun way of playing this hero. I still remember one of the most infamous matches, I think it was one of the Chinese events several years ago where a sniper kept TPing back to lane and get glimpsed back to base. And the team eventually lost because of it. And I think that was the moment in Dota 2 history that really embedded in people's minds, be careful where you TP.
Yeah, when a Disruptor's in the game, absolutely. And I guarantee you, Vitaly is not... He won't do it as just, you know, willy-nilly moving forward. I mean, it still definitely could happen because it's hard to really ultimately play again sometimes, but know that that is the possibility. And when it happens at first, that kind of reminds you, oh yeah, I got to really look out for that as far as being sent back to the base. So
yeah, the heroes just have that impact. He's having a great start. I think, like, you know, you look at the CS as deceptive. You look at the net worth and you realize what's really happening here. Murder is the name of the game for RNG. And so far, Ghost has been ticking that box.
Top lane, Chalice being hunted. Gardic's trying to find him, but there is a TP already coming in. Kaka. Now Gardic, he's in a bad spot. Another TP. This one from... Never mind. Cancel
Not needed.
Not needed,
Mars,
exactly.
he interrupted it. He used the spear, but the price might be his own life. Rupture's gonna be thrown out. He uses the arena. If Analog doesn't get this kill, it is totally not worth. Ghost is gonna be slowed. I struggle to run away now because all the remaining heals in Hokori are full health.
Well, I mean, it was definitely an if, but on the other side of it, if they get the kill, absolutely worth it. And so it was sure kind of a high risk, high reward type play, but hey, they get the reward. They get the turn kill onto the Bloodseeker, as we're just constantly talking about that, how great of a game he's been having. That's his first death, at least.
Yeah, it's one of those games where like Analog rotates in and he yells in the VoIP, "Nobody get hit. You all must remain full HP. Otherwise, this guy's just gonna run away from me and I'm gonna look pretty dumb." So Analog gets a very casual kill leading into a tower push. And they need some damage done because something remarkable is RNG, with all that overwhelming pressure, already took the bot tier 1. That's not something you see frequently. Usually the offlane tower is the last one to fall.
It's just going to be walked at by Somnus. There's the glimpses. It'll bring him right back in. Once again, the trap of the kinetic field. Eventually wears off, though. Mars, though, you're not getting away from this Bloodseeker. He's got the level 3 thirst. He is zooming around.
Yeah, the rules of circles dictate that RNG wins, right? Like, you've got Mars Arena, which is cool. You've got these small little baby cogs. But then look on the other side. You've got the kinetic field, static storm. You've got the black hole plus the midnight pulse. You've got the blood right. It's just actually so difficult for Hokori to approach these fights before BKB territory.
You see Shadow Fiend, though. Readdressing him. He's got his Mask of Madness, now working on the Dragonlance. So Lumi, understanding they're going to need that big game out of him, and so far, he is getting the farm with it, so that's good to see on the side of Hokori.
He got the best item in neutrals as well. For a Shadow Fiend like this, the Possessed Mask is so nice. Even more so since they nerfed healing off of creeps. Like, I think that was an indirect buff to Possessed Mask. It just means that you can farm more confidently in the jungle and not be one of these low HP Andes that would enable the Bloodseeker further.
Mid lane. Yeah, Mars showing up there with his Falcon Blade to pick up some farm. There's been a bit of rotations coming out from the Hokori cores, and there's a where to farm comfortably. As, speaking of that, Shadow Fiend poked in a little bit by Ember Spirit, but he's going to go top lane. Thing is fine.
Yeah, he got the shield crash off really quick, and now I think he wants to go for a Roll and Thunder play, but X-Nova nearby has got the Static Storm. Roll and Thunder does come out in time. Wrap around from the Tiny. Toss back, and they'll at least be able to find the Disruptor. The Rupture is going to come out, and Analog, he's experienced the pain, he's experienced the counter. He'll go for the TP wave, the Blood Right, and the Avalanche will stop him in his tracks. To get the big kill, Lumiere at least secures the area with the Requiem. That's going to be a Requiem to walk away.
Yeah, very defensive. I mean, it had potential to go in for some more kills, but it just wasn't to be. But you already see again off the bat, or as we're expecting throughout this game more so, is that pain going, how it's going to be troublesome as soon as a Bloodseeker especially shows up and ends up being his death right there. So yeah, they killed Disruptor, but clearly RNG getting the better of that exchange, and RNG wants to keep fighting. Somnus, he's back up here. Their cooldowns not necessarily the longest, and thus they're in. Tiny, speaking of being in, he's in too deep though. He did not maybe expect the Shadow Fiend to still be around. I don't know, but
nice dodge.
He gets killed. Nice dodge, exactly, with that sleight of fist, avoiding the spear, and Gardic likely gonna fall because of that. And then a slight to take him out. Somnus, he's taking some good physical damage though, and you gotta respect those right clicks.
Just imagine that feeling of confidence on you. Yeah, what do you want? You want to bring some loot? Oh, that's right. You hit for almost 200 damage a right click. I should probably leave at this stage. Yeah, it's Somnus restraining from getting too aggressive there. The reason he was looking for more is they rotated the Bloodseeker to top lane. And at that stage, you know, you've got multiple cores farming the same area. Their goal was to push Lumiere out the lane and take the tower. But credit to Hokori, they hold their ground. Sure, they lose a hero or two there and here, but they don't lose the tower, which is more important.
The bottom lane, Kaka. He could be in a little bit of trouble. Gardic, hook shot of 1 second. Pango's nearby. The hook shot, if he needed the cog, and pushing him out, actually. I don't think that was necessarily intended, but it doesn't matter.
You say that.
Does it?
It does. Kaka's going to live. Moves away. Rupture's going to come out, punished with the Pangolier, and Gardic. Rocket Flare, not enough. Kaka saves himself with the stick and Seeds of Serenity, and ends up 2 going the way of RNG.
Okay, never mind. It definitely mattered. Kaka living, the tranquil boots. Just gonna start walking away. The regen kicks in. Oh my gosh. I mean, what a supporting cast from RNG. And by supporting cast, certainly mean the Ember Spirit showing up at the right place, right time. Not only save his teammate and get those two turn kills, and he's now back to the mid lane. He's gonna get this mid-tier 1. That's gonna help finish his Maelstrom to go with the Orb of Corrosion that he already has.
Nice double Maelstrom, so they're going to farm up a Storm on the side of RNG. And, you know, here's a fault for you if you're Analog. Like, you notice that he came out the Swashbuckle very early. A lot of our Pangos would have probably continued the Rolling Thunder back towards the Cogs to get a rebound slot onto the Tiny where you can't be stunned. The reason he hops out of the Swashbuckle so quickly is he's panicking. He's rushing that kill because you see what happens when it takes too long. A Bloodseeker shows up, a Rupture comes out, and you end up just killing yourself.
Well, let's not forget, I don't know if we've had one yet, but a Global Silence is online from Hokori. Arcane Curse, speaking of that, is going to be going out. Mars Arenas. Yeah, the glimpse made it difficult. X-Nova, though, still might be in trouble. Rolling Thunder forward, though, they catch the Enigma. And Enigma, really no chance of a good cast right here for a Black Hole. He's just dead as well. 3 dead on the side of RNG. Both their cores survived, but ends up being a great fight for Hokori, and they still have Global Silence.
Yeah, that's the important detail. They didn't even need it. And in RNG, they were trying to minimize casualties, actually. If you look at where all 3 of those heroes died, they were more or less a screen apart. So they were trying to split up the fight, and then that's the more impressive part, is that Hokori just split up as well. Confident in how strong they were. They noticed that neither the Bloodseeker or the Ember were anywhere near the area, so they knew that they didn't need to dedicate all their resources to one kill.
Dire's middle tower has been denied.
Cheeky little denial of Italy there.
Take those. Is it going to come at a cost? No, he's fine. Just taking some more damage, though. Somnus. Somnus currently not the most mana, though.
You got to show some respect, though. This Ember hits hard. I mean, you saw how much damage you lost on Maelstrom proc, so he will whittle away at you. I think the goal for Hokori in these fights is just to go in off the back of the Mars time and time again. You can see how RNG benefit from poke. This is definitely no poke, though. Poor little Theo caught out in nowhere. No one to help him. We'll go down.
Yeah, up in about 30 seconds, but still, a kill you'll be happy to make if you're RNG. And also, Tiny being a part of that gets him one step closer to that blink. He's going to have it. In fact, there you go. He buys it, so the blink dagger will be delivered. Tiny now, certainly great at it.
Cool little detail that just happened in the Radiant jungle. Gardic was dewarding, something for Clockworks to keep in mind when you feel a little bit helpless. You can use power cogs to check high grounds for dewards. Yeah, so nice little tip for the Clock players out there. Also, try not to get caught like this. It's almost impossible in this type of game, but you know.
Oh, we're getting caught. Global Silence. We are going to see it come out, or more so hear it come out, or maybe not. Anyways, you get the point, Tiny. He's just dead. The arena on top. So, yeah, a lot committed for that kill. They do kill Disruptor as well. That was a 4 versus 5, considering Clockwork was dead, as we just saw prior. But, yeah, quite a bit committed. That time, again, the Global Silence being the big one from Silencer. Yeah,
they do get the Disruptor on the back foot, which makes it somewhat worth it. And, you know, considering the Clockwork had his imminent death because he was busy dewarding, you know, this is the type of death that happens. And I think it's a good fight for Hokori, especially what it set up. Like, although Clock did die there, notice the wards he got down. He's got some deep vision now. This is because they want to try and find either the Bloodseeker or the Ember split and look for kills on them. And they definitely have the resources to kill, especially Ghost. If Ghost gets found first and he gets permastunned, you don't have to worry about your Pangolier being counted.
Well, permastunning Ghost is going to be extra difficult with that BKB finished. And he's going to join up in the mid lane. Speaking of BKB, Shadow Fiend also getting his. So he's got a BKB Master Plan. Dragonlance mid lane, though. That's a find on a Mars. They're going to collapse, and as a team, they will successfully make the kill happen. Somnus turning for it. And are they going to Roshan? Ghost?
Did someone say collapse? Mars? Pot? Oh, okay, no, it's Vitaly. Vitaly not having the collapse level of Mars performance so far. 2-4-5 has had a rough start to this game, it's got to be said. And that's slowed him down a lot. Look at his item choice. Doesn't feel confident about initiation. He's going for a BKB first in this game. So Hokori, until he does get Blink, don't have a primary initiator still. You can even see that on Analog. Like, he's not providing that initiation. He's been forced to go into a Linken's first.
Yeah, it's not the most ideal. I mean, you do have Clockwork, but a very underfarmed Clockwork, and he's going to die quickly. He does engage, and speaking of that, he is going to engage. He finds Ghost. Ghost is low, and that bot forced the BKB, so is this it? Oh, but the toss on just Shadow Fiend. The Black Hole locked down, and there's no stopper currently. The Global Science not off cooldown, so they kill the Shadow Fiend, and RNG hunting for more. Italy, he's caught as well. Rooted in place. Out comes Bloodright, and that'll secure the kill for Ghost. A double kill. Just as we're talking about, I mean, Clockwork, he does have that initiation, but the follow-up not enough. And there's a blink on Tiny, which proved to be, once again, the big item.
Yeah, honestly, the patience there at Ghost. No hesitation to stand his ground, low HP. Most people in that situation, they've got an Aegis, they won't commit the BKB, but he baits them in deep enough, and the setup is beautiful. The toss back to get the prime target, the Shadow Fiend, into the black hole, and they just throw every spell at it. They don't hesitate. Static Storm, black hole, every piece of damage to make sure there's no turnaround opportunity for Hokori, and there was no way they could intercept, stop the black hole from occurring, especially when you use the hook shot this early. You know, you mentioned it just before that fight went off, they still have hook shot, but that's the issue with it being your primary initiator, your quick initiation. If you use it straight away, Enigma's going to get at least half a black hole for the remainder of the fight.
Yeah, we're going to see that again right here. It felt pretty good off the bat, but as you said, I think it was certainly the bait play coming in. And yeah, Chalice confident he can get a full black hole off, and he was absolutely right too. The arena ain't stopping that, and knowing that the Global Science was likely still on cooldown, and it was. It is off cooldown now, speaking of that. And now it's Hokori's turn to hunt for a kill, right? Because the similar idea. Well, black hole's on cooldown. Let's go for a big fight ourselves. Ooh, the hook shot just missing on Disruptor.
That read was perfect from X-Nova. He took out a sentry and then felt like something wasn't right in the area. Immediately runs away with the haste, and Clockwork just whiffs it. Damn, there's something about the senses of these players that sometimes seems godlike. That was a brilliant read by the support of RNG. Keep in mind that he didn't get the D-Ward, by the way. Like, his sentries are not in the correct place to find the Observer. And I wonder, considering that hookshot did come in what should have been a theoretically blind situation, he might come back and find that ward still.
Yeah, I mean, I want to go back to that Pangos you were mentioning, the Lincoln Sphere pickup. It's one of those cases. It sucks that he has to, but I mean, he has to. The Bloodseeker specifically, right? That's just one of the reasons why you don't want to pick it into Bloodseeker, but at least he has the Lincolns now, but he needs more damage. That's the point.
Well, that was weirdly comedial to me. Yeah, so I just noticed that. I heard double pig. Even though they couldn't see each other, Disruptor and Sansa used the pig pole at the exact same time. I know it's something trivial, but it's just hilarious that they're just in sync with this item. But yeah. I don't feel like there's anything down here for you. The good news is you forced RNG to come back to this area, but you also force your team to bodyguard you. So it kind of feels like now, for Hokori, it's like Lumia gets gold and nobody else does.
Leading the way, you're going to realize it's just the Eidolons left behind. And there's that counter-warding attempt as you were talking about.
Smoke play.
Using those cogs.
Dire are scared.
Yeah, it's just a really efficient way to play Clockwork. Poor little piggy. Koshimi.
Well, he's got the mech, but that's not saving him there. And he's dead for 30 seconds, by the way. No Global Science because of that. Garnic's also in trouble now.
You can't even leave. There's no way you can get out. Like, if you hook shot, you get glimpsed. Yeah, there's potential for rupture as well. Yeah, he tanks the gank, but the problem is, like, what is Hokori doing this? They've got two cores farming the same location. Only Analog is really doing anything on the map.
And an Arcane Rune just bottled up by Amber Spirit. He's gonna love using that. Another fight does break out eventually. 30 or 50 seconds even remaining on the Aegis 2 for Bloodseeker, so they're gonna get tier 2. And probably not long enough to be confident with tier 3 though.
You could try to probe for it, but I don't think there's a rush for them. I think they see just how far behind Hokori are, how much they're stagnating. I'm especially looking at this Mars. Like, every time I look back at him, this BKB feels a mile off. He finally has it, but how long ago did we talk about this item? His item progression has fallen off the side of a cliff.
It's if he had a blink and now this BKB, it'd be like, okay, yeah, he's farming pretty good, but no, with you there, it's the fact that he just finished the BKB and now he still needs that full-on blink. I think that one saving grace is they do have the Clockwork jump in at least, so as long as they get a good target there and then he can run in, but I mean, he still needs a blink. There is no question there before it's going to really be online for that true initiation that Hokori certainly needs. At least Lumi is getting his farm, though. There is no doubting that.
Definitely. You know, you could argue, oh, Chalice isn't that far ahead compared to the Mars. Like, this is unfair, like an unfair highlight of how Vitaly's doing. But I think the important difference here is how much more important Mars's initiation is than Enigma's. Free kill on a tiny and bot, you know, just Kaka doing Kaka things, creating space, but like just think of what the initiation is. Like RNG have this weird probe initiation that's very effective with the Ember. For Hokori, you just need everyone to be able to go in.
A gift from the tempest of battle.
Yeah, Ember Spirit pushing out the top lane now. Interesting stuff here. He's taking the Kaya into a full Ethereal Blade.
Regeneration.
So really that heavy burst to just blow somebody up, even that Shadow Fiend is going to be the concept there.
That's a pretty cool idea, especially if you get prolonged fights, which if you look at RNG's lineup, they're designed to do that. They kind of go in and out with this Ember and this Bloodseeker. So if Lumia misuses his BKB, after the fact, he can just be E-bladed up. He can't attack anymore. And sure, you still have some decent magical bursts, but as the game goes on, you're more and more reliant on that physical output.
Radiant's bottom tower has fallen.
There's Bloodseeker. Is that the Scotty? Yeah,
Ultimate.
Scotty's
Oh,
gonna be
yeah. Scotty's really good this game. He just sticks on top of Lumia, and I mean, it ruins the lifesteal element of this hero, but it's also you're a ranged hero up against Scotty, so you get slowed by a hell of a lot here. He's already completed it, so that's going to be a 40% movement speed slow on the SF.
Choke shot in, Somnus, popping the BKB off the bat, and he's going to silence up Clockwork, and not much more he can do. That's what we're talking about. I mean, they have that initiation, but he's just going to die shortly after. And now, speaking of initiation,
dodge.
I mean, yeah, Somnus dodging the slide and the black hole, but the global silence, they didn't have to play. Enigma regretting that decision. He goes down. Ghost, he's in trouble. He needs to run. He can't fight this. He put the Rupture up on Illumi, but Illumi just stands his ground and puts the right clicks back in. Buyback from Clockwork, by the way. Doesn't have his hook shot, but they're chasing. They already killed Ghost, and they want more. They may get more. Especially Somnus would be the big one, but it's not going to happen. He TP's away in time, but Kaka will be left behind. So the fight very successful for Hokori. The initiation was a little bit awkward. Not necessarily in their favor, but RNG, they then overcommitted. They thought that they had the play. Hokori stood their ground.
Yeah, I think this is a classic case of overthinking how strong you are as a carry and underrating the power of your opponent's +1. Lumia hits so damn hard. You've got this idea of Skadi, which is great if you're both on even health and you reach him. The problem with Bloodseeker is you Blood Rage and run towards him. Well, yeah, great. Now you're going to get the crap kicked out of you. You're not actually returning any damage until you reach your target. It feels like a little bit of a whoopsie daisy. It's a type of play that makes sense if you have, for example, a stun from the Tiny or the Black Hole's obviously still going on. But we're getting caught out so early, you can see how detrimental it is. And I almost feel like RNG got baited in by this arena. This arena being a fail led to everything else. Just watch what happens here. Lumia stands his ground, BKBs, and it's almost like Ghost is just not a hero. It's like he's a Ghost.
And that's a good one. Honestly, the biggest thing for me there, though, is it was the Enigma. Putting himself in that position, knowing that the global silence was up too, obviously his black hole was going to be stopped. And he put himself in a very awkward spot, you know, over the hill, right? Where his team then kind of had to follow it and go through the arena being finished. It was a little bit, you know, on different pages. It definitely seemed like. So I'm with you there from it was kind of that they got fooled into thinking they had certainly a much better chance there of winning that fight than they really did. And props still to Hokori, certainly, for standing their ground like they did and obviously turning that around in their favor.
I agree with you. I think you're like right on the point there. Like we've talked about this idea of black holes and insurance policy before, and you need to realize that sure they're going to hold you hostage with global silence, but you hold them hostage with black hole as well. It changes the dynamics of battles when you throw it out like that. Also, another little detail in that fight. I'm pretty sure Chalice didn't drop the Wraith Pact to him, so there wasn't even any damage reduction coming back the way of Ghost.
Well, either way, it's RNG trying to figure out how to continue now as the haste rune picked up by Analog, and he'll quickly swashbuckle out to make sure no catch happens. But Mars, he is gonna be. Does he have the blink? No, he went Vlad's. Okay, so he's actually going to Wraith Pack, so they're not even going the blink on Mars anymore. That's how confident they are that. I suppose with how the last fight went, and if they're just gonna run into us, then we don't need the arena jumps here.
I mean, if we can whiff the arena like that and still win the fight, who cares? This doesn't matter. I'm just going to be on Aura. Much better.
Yeah. And I think a bit of that, too, has to do with the fact of Ember Spirit, obviously not the easiest target to catch in the arenas, that being one of their two big cores. So maybe there's some of that logic as well as, yeah, let's not go all in on that mentality. Instead, build the aura. Wraith Pack's certainly a very valuable item to have, so can appreciate it.
Yeah. I think it comes down to the confidence of the Mars player as well. That's not to say Vitali doesn't think he can pop off with Mars, but there's just some players that we've already seen it here in the TI group stage have that overwhelming confidence to spear into arena. You know, not everyone is comfortable with doing that. It's a very high risk, high reward type play, because if you miss time slightly, then the arena just misses and you spear them out of the arena.
How about this? Hokori going for Roshan. It's not going to be easy, though. In fact, Somnus, Remnant, placed in. The Blood Right going out. Kaka jumps in as well, but the Rolling Thunder immediately getting popped the rock wave as Lumi gets the kill, but the Aegis is snatched by Somnus. He's now going in. He's still alive. Meanwhile, Lumi, he's just stuck in the pit for the time being. Vitali gets the arena down. Bloodseeker locked out by the spears, and now Lumi's coming in for some auto attacks. Gonna get the kill on a Ghost, and they get the Aegis cut as well. Somnus does get out of this. Bloodseeker staying there for 60 seconds, by the way. Kaka going for the toss kill onto Pango. Will make it happen. Dies himself, though, and Somnus is able to escape at least. But Aegis burnt, and I think you certainly got to get that to Hokori.
Most definitely. There's no denying that that's a win for them. You're sure the Aegis gets taken away, but you force a lot out of your opponents. You still have your global, so you don't have to worry about Black Hole in the follow-up. Just a really good fight. I think what really mattered there is as soon as that Aegis was snatched, no hesitation, they commit onto Ghost. Ghost had to commit his BKB very early in that fight, which meant that Vitali, with the delayed arena, gets maximum impact, traps this poor Bloodseeker in. A Bloodseeker that otherwise would have been running rampant around the fight, picking off low HP heroes and sniping the supports. That detail was most important to me. Vitali getting maximum impact out of a spell that usually requires a lot of mobility to do so.
And he's level 20 on Shadow Fiend. Now, I keep stressing this every time we have the Shadow Fiend in the game because it is a big point. The +3 damage per soul. Those right clicks even hitting
oh my god
harder. With the shard, and you see right there, Disruptor nearly 3-shot basically was. Clockwork may end up dying for this as Somnus does he go back in? That would be risky. Yeah, he's not going to.
What a hero. What a fun hero. Oh, this poor Disruptor, man. He will die in 3 hits in these situations. BKB gets forced out, but Lumi baits Kaka in. Looks like it's going to be a TP out of the Black Hole. Global to interrupt, but Lumia now stuck. He has to fight, gets bashed up as well. No longer has the magic immunity, and Ghost will run him through. Good counterattack by RNG. Good bait with a Black Hole to force the recommitment. And Hokori will struggle to get anyone out of this rate. Silence is going to be found. Mars at least completes the TP, but the big dangerous demon Shadow Fiend gets found.
I understand why Hokori felt so comfortable and pretty confident, but yeah, you're right. I mean, it's not often where a Black Hole stopped immediately by Global Silence, and we can still say how awesome it was for RNG, the fact that it happened, because, yeah, as you pointed out, it stopped the BKB teleport, it forced Shadow Fiend to have to fight, and we saw the end result from there. Yeah, you're going to see here, in fact, he goes for the TP play, and then Enigma's like, nope, got stopped immediately, but they stopped the TP, and there was no chance after that. Even with the arena coming down, Somnus jumps on top, Ghost doing the damage that he needed to do. And that's a dead Shadow Fiend now, even for another 20 more seconds. So that's got to feel good for RNG. A bit of a comeback in a sense as far as after what happened previously in the Roshan area. But this definitely is shaping up to be get another one of these games where initiation going to play a big factor, and certainly still anyone's.
I think the crazy part about that sequence of events is that Lumiere starts off baiting Kaka, and then they end up baiting themselves into a bad engagement. I mean, this one's at least more free. Kaka this time won't bait a big follow-up fight for RNG. He's just going to tank a death, but just incredible plays from both sides. You know, they're kind of big brain thinking. You see how these high-risk, high-rewards can pay off. And like you mentioned, you know, Black Hole getting cancelled instantly. Where is it valuable? Well, it's definitely valuable when the enemy carry is panic TPing out in front of you.
So Shadow Fiend looking a bit of Satanic next. He did end up getting that butterfly. He had that in the fight, of course, but understanding that could use being bulked up a bit more after what happened there, especially. Makes sense there, and even the Eye of Scotty to follow if he manages to continue that great farm, which obviously you expect that to be the case.
Yeah, you can see the Bloodseeker, he's on his way towards an MKB, still what feels like a mile away from it. I like that he went the Basher first, though. I think the Basher was the key detail there. If Lumiere wasn't being bashed at all, he maybe just stands his ground, right-clicks down a Bloodseeker that's going to take more damage.
This is going to be a smoke, yep, 5-player smoke from RNG. They group up, Rocket flies on over. Obviously not seeing Soniqs. He's seeing somebody. He's going to go in immediately. As he does, the chains catching the clockwork, but the cog play is making this funky. I mean, clockwork's dead. Pango rolling around, though. He's just going to roll out.
Yeah, I think someone made the call, like not only is the clockwork dead, but they've got Black Hole coming off cooldown. Just get out. You could see, actually, like when that fight started, Enigma had Black Hole in 15 seconds. So that was by design for RNG. So good play there. Gets rid of the clockwork. And we already mentioned this before, that if you want to initiate Hokori, it's clock. Sure, Pango's got a blink dagger now, but I still think clockwork has to be your primary initiator.
So, KP, we talked about how Theolacore is playing the Silencer over Gardic, kind of the position 4 player, so prioritizing farm on Silencer. You look what he has. He's got an Octarine Core to go with the mechanism, but obviously the Octarine Core is the massive item right there. And we're looking, if he manages to get that level 3 silence, which is going to soon, that's just over a minute cooldown on global silence. That's pretty damn good.
Yeah, I love the idea as well, because if you remember the draft, I said one of the big issues I take with Silencer as an answer to Enigma is that eventually he gets double Black Hole and you're still dreaming of a refresher in a like 50-minute game. But because that farm priority, Theo is getting there. You can see actually he's racing forward at a similar pace compared to the Enigma towards that refresher. Respectable showing considering this is a pos for Silencer in a game where he couldn't easily farm anywhere and everywhere he chooses.
Soniqs. Got the BKB there.
Going towards the Axe next. A lot more mobility in these fights. I like that idea. It's just about finding and hunting the back lines for him now. Like, his primary goal is to seek out the Silencer if he can. Because if you remove that from the equation, it's even higher value because of this build we just highlighted. You know, Theo offers so much more, and this Clockwork offers so much less compared to your typical game.
You can see now, though, the Satanic finished on Lumi, and immediately Hokori is hunting for more kills. They're going to smoke up around the Mars. Mars does have the Blink now. For the first time, he will have Blink initiation. They also scan the jungle over here, and they're going the jetpack and Clockwork flying in the hook shot on the Soniqs. They have enough follow-up. The stun off the bat, the auto attacks out. The Ethereal Blade! That's going to save him. Never mind. It's just not enough of a save. He has buyback. The arena did not catch.
No. And that all happens because of bot. They forced the BKB and they instantly found the correct target. They hunted him purposefully. Gone for 80 seconds because BKB was still on cooldown for about 50. Just great strike by Hokori, the one target they could have went for like that. And now, as a result, you can see RNG just shrivel up and try and hide. Say that, Ghost and Kaka are making a play on Analog here. But they don't get the toss out in time. They didn't pop the Lincolns. Ghost, he gets back! Oh no. This could not get much worse. Tiny's gonna go down. Go's now dead. RNG are crumbling.
Definitely one of the, potentially the worst target that showed up to try to jump right there for the Tiny Bloodseeker combo, and that's exactly why. He's just tanking out. The fact he was able to get off Rolling Thunder in the first place too was of course massive, and they just so happen to have heroes nearby, specifically Mars, to set up the immediate turn. And then, yeah, you got the RNG in your favor, sure, but a basher on Pango with a swashbuckle, you're bound to proc it when using that. So that's big.
Yeah, the crazy part is that they got greedy. So they wanted to avalanche into Bloodright, but he's going to get the roll-up off in time, right? He's going to be protected. The way they could have done that is if they used the Force stuff, they would have popped the Lincoln straight away, then they can Rupture, and maybe they have a better opportunity, but it's still a high risk, I'd say medium to low end reward. And now you've just lost full map control when Roach is coming up against this godly Shadow Fiend that you still don't have a direct answer to in these engagements.
I mean, you're not. That doesn't. I don't think they're ever really going to have a true answer to the Shadow Fiend. It's gonna continue to come down to they need to get the jump first, whether it's on him or just a supporting cast, and eventually win the fight from there. But Illumi, he is the beast that we expected on the Shadow Fiend. He's got an Eye of Scotty well in the works. Roshan's up, and there's a double damage down here. I don't see it yet. But if he gets that.
He has a tingling feeling. He's like, wait a second. It's the 38-minute mark. Something spawns every 2. Oh, look what I found, guys. Like, oh, Lumia, you always get the best roots. Don't need it.
Goes to Roshan. Yeah, it's already half dead by the time he shows up.
Oh, look at Gardic. Oh, he tanks the gang. He's going to waste too much of their time. They're even going to try to counterattack this. Analog now moves in. Buyback comes out from the Clockwork. Roche has been claimed by Lumiere. Kaka in way too deep. Is going to be pinned to the tree. So he's going to be brought down. Now the arena as well. Across onto Nova. Has to commit the static storm. All it's going to do is delay the follow-up kills. But both supports on the side of RNG dead. Yes, it's a buyback out of the clockwork, but definitely worthwhile to secure the Roche.
I mean, that was massive by Gardic. We mentioned this is going to be a very difficult game for him on the Clockwork, and Clockwork in general as a hero. This event has been fairly underwhelming, but that was a hell of a heads up, and tanking the gank, as you said, was perfect. The timing was right. It allowed the time needed for Lumi to secure the Roshan kill, get the Aegis, and by the time Clockwork dies, the team is fighting. Analog had to win in with a Rolling Thunder. Great execution from Hokori. That was some honestly impressive play as a team from them, and they have a massive lead now to work with, pushing into the base. How do you stop this? They have still 2 dead, 1 dead in a second, but they're going to try. Chalice stuns. It's going to heal right back up, though.
So just thinking back to that fight, I'm pretty sure Clockwork intentionally wiggled his buoy out of the side of the trees. Like, he has vision in the area, so he doesn't need to reveal beyond the trees. You can see they had the wards in the radiant area. So I think he done that intentionally to make it look like he'd accidentally revealed himself, that he's looking for a wraparound. And at that point, you know, RNG's like, we got him! He's an idiot! What's he doing here? And Gardic's like, ah, ha, ha, yeah, you got me, guys. I totally didn't want you all to jump me. But just, man, just those type of plays, those are game-winning moments, right? Like, they're the small element that builds upon the foundation. I'm always reminded of, like, Solo was one of the classic guys that done this with support cast heroes. I will walk in, I will make you deal with me. You will pay attention to me while something else is happening, like a magician performing a sleight of hand.
You know, I feel a little more comfortable saying this now, especially with the praise that we're giving to Gardic, very deservingly so. There was a stat posted by Knoxville in terms of, like, leaders for a lot of these individual stats, and Gardic was up there for the most deaths in games, the top 2, in fact. I think it was like 19 in one game, 18 in another, and that kind of stood out to me. Like, oh, that's it, you know, passing them next. And didn't really want to necessarily bring that out for obvious reasons, but, you know, it's plays like that, though. The point being, he has 10 deaths this game, but a lot of them, especially that one, is a very, very worthy death on the Clockwork.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just like sometimes that's a role. It's very hard to kind of absorb. You know, I play a lot of, you know, when I play POS for a lot, and I play elusive type heroes like Hoodwink. So I don't want to die. But you have to accept that. If you ever want to be great at playing POS 4, you have to accept that part of your job is sometimes to just take it. You know, people think that's always the POS 5, but sometimes the POS 5 is more important. And we talked about how, like, in this game, you know, he is playing the what looked like the POS 4 switched into POS 5 role. So it does kind of tick that box, but unorthodox to see it on a Clockwork, considering most of the time, you know, you'd expect to see it on a worthless CM or something.
Shadow Fiend with a refresher orb in the backpack. Massive farm. So yeah, going that over the eye of Scotty, by the way.
Lord.
As the arcane blink he's thinking about next. We've seen that a couple of times.
Yeah, just look at Ghost item progression as well. How long ago did I mention that MKB? I feel like it was quite some time ago. He still hasn't got it. And he'll have to save for buyback as well, so unlikely he buys out on this item. Especially considering SF has 2 lives, and the MKB is specifically to counter out Lumiere.
There's a minute and a half remaining on the Aegis, so if Hokori is going to make a move into the base, it should be soon. There's the melee racks exposed top lane. Seems like the obvious spot to fight, but again, it's the way RNG is playing, especially, and we're seeing this a lot in these kind of games throughout this tournament. We've stressed this before, KP, that we're in that mode now of one team, in this case RNG, they're just turtling in their base, making it very difficult to high ground, where the other team is just cleaning up more and more objectives around the map, basically just restricting the map and getting even further ahead in net worth. I mean, it's a 25,000 net worth lead right now for Hokori, and it's just going to continue to grow at this rate. And they're going to make a smoke play, though.
Yeah. For RNG to come out, Hokori have to offer something up as tribute. Like, if they don't see a target, they're not going to move out blindly. And moving in, not so blind. Gardic goes in deep. BKB gets forced out. Ghost hook shot on the backside. Enigma cannot participate in this fight. They'll hunt for more. X-Nova's going to be forced far deep. Analog is on top of him. Now, the Clockwork does go down. Static Storm is going to be dropped, and it is going to clip onto Analog. Linkers will be popped, able to be when X-Nova dodges death. Glimpse back is not going to be a success, though. Analog rolls up to save a life. Save his own, in fact, and Ghost in the end comes out for double kill, but the lane is gone.
Yeah, well, Shadow Fiend pretty much that whole time, like, he went initially to maybe assist for a kill, but then realized quickly, like, okay, let's just get the melee racks and get out. And so, yes, the death of Clockwork is not a big deal at all. did his job. The pit, it stings a little bit for Hokori, but I still feel like they got what they came for, and that was the melee racks. And Pango is level 25 now as well, and I want to bring that up as well. Shadow Fiend also 25 even prior to that fight, so the Shadow Rays applies that attack damage now. Still reason to be very confident about where you're at for Hokori is the point there.
Yeah, and just actually good value in the Aegis in the end, right? When they went in, it had 40 seconds left, so they needed to do something with it, and you know, you kind of get the best of the situation, just taking out the melee racks. Just so much space, and such a nuisance, man. It just shows you what you can do with this clockwork with the jetpack. You know, it kind of looked like a meme when they first introduced it in the game, but you just see how powerful it can be.
Oh yeah, no, it's a great tool if you can manage to farm it as he has here. Again, even in the position 5 role, that with the Lotus Orb on top has been a valuable tool, of course, so certainly not bad for him. Obviously, we got a pause coming out here. Figure out in a second, hopefully not too long, but Bloodseeker, the MKB is now there, and he's now trying to build into the Abyssal Blade even, which, of course, would be great to have. What did Pango go, by the way, 25? The minus 22nd Relic Thunder cooldown, okay.
Yeah, it's all about his ultimate. Like, if you try to play this, I mean, it's tempting, right? You feel like a god when you get a good Swashbuckle build, but, like, this is not the game for it. It's weird, though, to see that it's come round to this, but because of the itemization, the Rolling Thunder build is the right way to go, because Bloodseeker doesn't have the answer. You know, he's not level 25 yet. When he has the 2 Ruptures, that changes, but he's still got half a level to go.
Yeah, both him and the Ember Spirit getting close. So, going to be crucial there, but again, with the top racks being destroyed, Hokori certainly in the better spot right now, and I keep going back to it's, do they have the answer to deal with the Shadow Fiend, especially if Clockwork going to be doing what he's been doing, of just constantly getting these positionings of being able to go in the back lines and, as the phrase we use, create that chaos a lot of times. Silencer, the double silence is also online too. He's got the refresher.
The hilarity is that he didn't even have to use it in that fight just because of what Clockwork done. It's like, oh, look, there's the Enigma. I'm just going to stick on top of him. It doesn't matter if he BKBs now. That's the beautiful thing. Like, what do you do in that situation? You get hook shot. You could BKB, but you can't blink now because the Clockwork's just going to keep right-clicking you until he dies.
All right, coming out of the pause is RNG. They're getting pretty aggressive out of their base. They understand that Hokori is somewhat reset right now. Oh, they get scanned, though, as they're running at them with the smoke. So Hokori is very aware about this. Look at Gardic. He's going to take
Look
it.
at Lumiere. Yeah, it's going to be tanked by Clockwork. Lumiere's going to come out the tree line. Glimpse back. Initiation from Talon. The black hole. No! Guys! He whiffs! He almost gets 2 here. He has to refresh her just to blink away. And Vitaly is still hunting him. Spear is off cooldown. Chalice will try to save himself. Blink Dagger still on cooldown for 5 seconds. He'll get out, but mistakes made. Only 1 black hole to work with, and there's still a global silence to play around.
Yeah, he used, to be fair, it would have been stopped anyways pretty quickly, so I don't think the whiff is necessarily that big of a deal by the Enigma. It still is just a somewhat embarrassing, sure. But the point is, both of those heroes use their abilities, right? They have another one, though, with the refresher on both the Enigma and the Silencer, and it is kind of interesting to see how that fight did play out when it's all said and done, where both teams losing that support of the Tiny and Clockwork, and both using that big ultimate and the refresher, but no one else dying, and ends up being a full reset from there for the time being. But yeah, that was I go back to, it started with that scan. Gardic is like, all right, here's my time to shine once again. He just stands out in front and just waits for the inevitable jump to happen with him tanking the gank and allow them to be successful at least enough for Hokori.
I think the more ludicrous part about all that to me is like, it's not as much just the black hole whiffing, like that people don't say, what now? It's the fact that Lumiere took half of his health with a single attack. It's a Necromastery attack, sure, but a single attack. Like, that is scary. Like, what do you do against that? Because you need BKB, you can't have an E-Blade. So you've got this issue now. Like, if Lumiere isn't caught, everyone else is dead. And speaking of Lumiere, he's hunting. They're looking for kills. Clockwork once again, just going in deep to sacrifice himself. Bash comes out to Vitaly. He controls up the Disruptor. Abyssal as well. Everything for the Mars, but everything lost elsewhere. Lumiere able to recover quickly here. BKB, but dodge out. It's going to be a Rupture usage here. Now, he will go for the refresher. Pump on the Requiem. BKB's running out soon, though, and he's just going to look to escape.
Yeah, he's just going to go for the TP play. He popped the BKB immediately after refresher, and he does get out. That was a close call, but Shadow Fiend escapes, and a lot of that comes down to RNG did a great job of capitalizing on the isolation of the Shadow Fiend. He was actually to the left in that fight, away from where the Mars Arena and everything, and I believe it was the Ember Spirit specifically that was on top of him, kind of keeping him at bay. And yeah, the Hex, exactly. So Shadow Fiend really wasn't able to do the most damage. He almost died, but the Satanic, of course, kept him alive. It was just without his damage, though. That's a Hokori. You know that they're not going to be able to really finish off these kills. That's just the obvious there, and RNG knew that. So yeah, well played by them.
And you can just see the replay on this one. And he's ruptured from the get-go. The Hex comes in, it gets him so close to death. But good coverage coming in from the Pango, saving the day, making sure he can definitely get the BKB off. I mean, this was incredibly well played by RNG now. It just leads up to a Roche, which they're definitely getting their hands on. And it all comes down to that vision. They had vision in that ancient area that meant that their opponents could do anything but jump in. Hook shot, he gets it! He snatches the play, and the black hole gets forced out. Globals are going to be there, but Aegis will not be in the hands of RNG. Gardic has been a thorn in RNG's side this entire game.
He's still flying around with the jetpack. I mean, he's definitely going to die here. It's just making it take forever at least. So he is out for 80 seconds now. So yes, he does deny the Aegis. Cheese was picked up though. Bloodseeker going to be the one to play with that now. And all 5 are still alive on RNG. So yeah, it's one of those cases that you like what happened, but at the same time, Hokori still needs to be worried about defending their base. They do have a top lane push going in though in their favor, thanks to that creep wave.
Dog, Gardic is blowing my mind right now. This is the standout clockwork performance of this tournament so far. What an absolute god. The nuisance has been from start to finish in this game. The way he enabled SF on the lane and continues to enable his team through the game is a work of art.
Now, double Global Silence is ready. Black Hole, only one of them. Refresh Orb ready for Enigma. So that's a big factor coming up to the next fight, right? Because it continues to be the case of the classic Silencer first Enigma. We could see it here. Oh, the toss, no, not going to happen. Lumi able to get the BKB off. The Rupture was up as mentioned. The Yule's on up. But Kaka, he's certainly dead. So he tries to get the jump they're looking for. Not going to happen. And now it's Analog's turn to go in. Glimpse back on Mars. But Analog is reaching. Who can he catch? Looks like he's going to be fine just rolling back to base.
Yeah, just things keep rolling, goes back in. They're going to be content with that. Analog, like, yeah, he gets forced to buy back. Not ideal given, but like overall, considering how that went, I think you got to be happy with the fact that you didn't lose more there. Like that was a very uncomfortable situation. And you see how the dynamics have changed. Rupture is never intended for the Pangolier anymore. It's always for Lumiere, and they only have 1 Lincolns.
To that point, I feel like Theodore could be a bit more aggressive with using that Global Silence early on in that fight, because, again, he should know that he has the 2 compared to the 1, if anything, over the Enigma. We talked about earlier, it's also only a 75-second cooldown right now for his Global Silence on top of that. So, obviously not the case there as far as he didn't use it, but I'm going to look out for that as far as these future fights. Now, 19 seconds remaining on the Black Hole for Chalice, so he will have his doubles.
Well, they found X-Nova. That's actually a big kill to find. Not quite the Axe yet, but he's making his way towards it. There is a gem on the ground, but Analog didn't switcheroo the bottle quick enough, so won't be able to pick it up before leaving the base. But yeah, I get what you're saying around the silences, but I think for him, the pressure is like, he always wants to just mirror the black holes. He needs to see more being committed. I think we talked about this idea of being proactive with silences, but in these situations, it's more like, no, you need to show me more, because to them, the SF didn't seem that threatened. And it's interesting to think that they value these global silences that highly, considering they were willing to commit Analog's buyback instead.
Those 25s we were talking about on the course of RNG, just worth pointing out. To be certain, it is the 2 Ruptures for Bloodseekers. You mentioned the 2 Sleight of Fist charges coming out for Ember Spirit. So those are the level 25s. Get the Clockwork up here. Gonna catch, not gonna happen though.
He's always hunting. He's like, where they are. I'm ready to go. Yeah, I'm overclocked. Because I think did he get the Axe when he hookshot him?
I was just thinking that. I think so. There's
We
no
were
way
so
he
focused on
farmed that.
the Aegis that he got, yeah, so he because look at his net worth when I was bumped up, because I never saw him grab this, yeah, so what a play, man. We thought it was godly before, but the fact that he got the Ags as well, absolutely incredible.
Yeah, the Aegis is certainly huge, of course, and a bit more noticeable, but yeah, the Ags pickup, That's pretty solid on him for sure, especially, like I say, playing this position 5, not as hard heavy farm priority. Well, suddenly he has the Ags now too, so overclocking online. And Hokori continuing to kind of restrict RNG from feeling comfortable in terms of moving throughout the map. The Shadow Fiend has an Arcane Blink. He's even queued up the Scythe now to pick up eventually.
Oh, they found the Ember.
Oh, Somnus.
They paid him.
Massive. The Abyssal Blade, the Ethereal is going to keep him alive. The Global Science was used, but the BKB immediately comes out, and he's able to Remnant away.
That was fortunate for him as well. They didn't quite have enough damage to insta-give him down, but now a follow-up fight coming out. They do find the Clockwork again. Gardic is everywhere and anywhere, including in the afterlife.
Oh, I love this. Again, this is so classic in Dota. The Enigma versus Silencer, it's kind of being brought back for TI-11, and the mirroring of one another. The double ultimates, a refresher on both, and now the Octarine core on both, as Chalice picks up his own right there.
So smoke movement from RNG. The global's used. Like this build, just look at the cooldown. It's off cooldown 10 seconds, so you don't even really have a window of opportunity. And you can see that Hokori are giving them the appropriate amount of respect. They're not getting too far out of their base. In fact, they're fully huddled inside it.
Jumped initially in the black hole. There's the first sight. It's a double black hole. Chalice, he will use it. There's the second sight. So the mind games continue. Mars, meanwhile, he's bulwarking, protecting himself. But Shadowfiend's well alive. They killed the Enigma. He's now fighting back. The rupture onto Mars as well as Shadowfiend. No, Shadowfiend doesn't have one actually. The Reckon's going to be used in the backline zone. Ember Spirit going in. But Lumi is godlike right now. So Mars is dead. Somnus needs to run and survive his name in the game. But Clockwork, Gardic is in the hunt. The hook shot ready as mentioned. Is he going to get a good one off? Yes, he is. He lands it. Is there enough lockdown here? No, there's not. He is going to be able to Remnant away. The flare's coming out, but he survives.
Damn. If you're Clockwork, you wish you had the old Ags where you could just refresh your hook shot. And I know it is there. Nice get out by Somnus, but overall just a rough fight for RNG. And now you see how they've reached their peak, the apex of their draft. That Enigma committed both black holes, and he used them simply to keep SF away from the other side of the fight, and yet it didn't matter. Vitaly, despite the brutal start of this game that he's experienced, is turned into a god, as is appropriate for Mars himself. He stood there. He tanked everything. The rupture comes in on him. Everyone's wailing at him, but the bulwark allows him to stand and fight long enough that by the time RNG realize it's not going to work anymore, Lumiere is already on his way to the main battle.
That was impressive, but yeah, the bulwark from Mars was massive. That's allowing him to live as long as he did. Really just playing that true barrier, really representing the ability proudly for his Shadow Fiend, helping to keep him alive. But again, it's the Enigma Silencer interaction. That worked out, it played out even as you would expect. There is a part of me that's like, is that what Chalice should be doing? I mean, I understand the concept here of just trying to lock down Shadowfiend as long as possible and knowing you're going to get interrupted. And I guess you really just don't have a choice, but it certainly did feel bad seeing him jump back there, get stopped immediately, pop his refresher, and just go for it again out of desperation, and then get stopped immediately again. But that's just what you got to do, I suppose. You got to get those globals out.
It's just a really rough game for an Enigma. I'm glad to see like the Silencer having a solution. Just to quickly bring it back to Pulse-5 Silencer doesn't feel like the best solution to Enigma as the game goes this late because you just can't get the items, but the way that Hokori prioritized Veilachor in this one has paid off in dividends. Now with Roche possibly coming up, looks like it's going to be a long spawn this time.
Yeah.
Hokori don't know yet. They haven't checked it. So they're going to be baited in. Clockwork in a bit too deep. We'll get the hook shot out. That's going to initiate the follow-up. Stun comes out to Tiny, and Somnus is going to be in. Requiem has been used. Lumiere is going to push forward. Look at the kill on Tiny. And the stun control to Somnus. He can't move. Ghost has to commit. Buybacks coming out from RNG. They need a good black hole. Global comes out, but too late. Lumiere is down and gone. Forced to commit the buyback. Because of Hokori, I don't know if they realize still Roche isn't up yet.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, the fight breaking out. That's what you're saying. It's going to be a long Roshan, and Apparently the teams didn't care. They wanted to fight anyways. Clockwork, obviously, as we've always said, is the one that starts it. But what I saw there, and I mean, I know we know this, but just how impressive. The raise damage of Shadow Fiend now with that level 25, it's insane. He's going to pop his own refresher, by the way. So another Requiem in play. Both the Black Hole and Global Silence will be ready in 20 seconds. He has refresher, but Silence are going to try to hold on to it if he can. We'll see if that's possible. But there we go. Kaka jumped in first. Got a bit awkward as Pango went in the backline. Somnus, he's trying to run. He kind of jets back in, but it's just going to be a free kill on a Tiny for
Dieback.
Shadow Fiend. Yeah, it's a dieback. He's out for 100 seconds. And you can just see RNG just retreating back to the base.
Oh, this is really bad for them as well. Charles had to use the BKB just to get out, so he doesn't have that magic immunity to go for a Black Hole. He's still also up against the double global of Field-Core. And they're once again confidently going to run over the pit like, yes, it's finally time. Boys, I got some bad news. It's almost the longest spawn it could possibly be. You're going to have to wait long enough that the Tiny's going to be back, and also Enigma will have double Black Hole again.
KP, we've said it several times. I'm going to say it again, not to curse it, but maybe, who knows? 60 minutes, it's coming up. Tier 5 items. It is very possible this game for both teams.
And think about the time of the Roche coming up as well, just before it. So it's likely that the Roche could decide it before you even get your dream of tier 5 items again, break you.
I don't even know who that is. I really don't. I guess, again, it probably always favors the team that's behind for the most part, and right now that is RNG, so if they can tank this out long enough to get to 60 minutes in tier 5 items, you know, perhaps that's their win condition, but Kardik is still going to keep going in the vision. But there's a jump. No, maybe. Blood Rage just put down.
It's ridiculous. Rolling Fnatic mid. Anal's going in. Gets the stun out. Follow up with the Mars Arena. Connects onto the Bloodseeker here. Somnus will be able to use the BKB, as will Ghost, but that's bad. That's bad news for them. Because Lumiere was waiting to go in, and now they realize that this is as free as Roche is going to get.
But he's not up. They keep checking it. They're like, come on, just spawn, dude. Where are you?
Please?
3 seconds. Just be patient. It'll be there, I promise. The Remnant put in, but there. Oh, he ran out when he. Oh, he spawned. He ran out. Go back in.
I mean,
there you go.
Every second matters. The BKBs are ticking down. 60 seconds till they're available again. They got double Black Hole, but if they don't find that silencer, they can't take this.
Yeah, double silence in play.
Just look at Fear's
59
position.
minutes.
I love how he's close enough to be useful. Oh, hookshot in! They found the Enigma! Okay, well, he's going to be much back towards safety for the moment, but they found the Enigma still. Nice forced off to dodge out the spear, but it won't be enough. Chalice is down, does have buyback. We'll need to use it.
Yep, you got to use it. So still, double Black Hole ready, just as the double global silence is.
Radiant's bottom tower is
So
under
Roshan, it's not going to be committed to for Hokori. They don't feel like they need to stress for it. If anything, it's a place to fight around.
What's crazy about that fight is I'm pretty sure Gardic dies if he doesn't get glimpsed away, and he doesn't have buyback. So in a way,
True.
RNG just kept Hokori at full strength.
I mean, it's one of those, you can't blame X-Nova. So, obviously, that's just kind of a natural reaction. But, oh yeah, that's worth pointing out. Speaking of X-Nova, he does have his Axe. And this is one of those items that in a game like this, that can absolutely turn the tide, right? In terms of the muting the items.
Yes, it's a game with multiple refreshers, right? That's what makes it feel even better. It's like, well, you know, if I find anyone here, they're screwed.
We made it, KP. Let's go.
We've done it. Oh, Arcanist armor on both sides. Hello. Okay.
That's a start.
I'm thinking, like, who gets more value out of that? Like, the damage reflect hurts a lot for RNG because they have so much AoE spread. So, like, maybe Hokori having that feels better, especially if you put it on the Mars. Actually, yeah, I really like it on the Mars.
Shadow Fiend gets the force boots, by the way, so get a spell.
Yeah, but this is a situation where, like, now you're even happy as the Disrupt. You're like, now I get additional value out of my Ag Static Storm because that's another item you can't use.
Yeah, that's true. It does buff up that even more slightly for the Disruptor. But yeah, both teams, we actually got to a point where you could tell they were just content. Like, okay, let's get these tier 5 items. Let's see what we're dealing with. Let's see what kind of chaos it's going to follow.
But, like, look at the paranoia. RNG aren't farming as much of the map, so they're getting the items slower. Hokori's so confident they've spread out to get every camp possible.
Seer Stone, that's a big one.
So Clockwork took the Arcanist armor in the end. Okay. I
mean,
can get behind
he's
that.
in front. Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely using his whole HP pool, that's for sure. Oh my god.
Oh.
Okay, Vitaly's taking the Apex. Do I even want to know what his number? Oh my god, he's almost 5,000 HP now. Look at him!
I just love how absurd these items are. It's just so good.
Good god. It's like, oh yeah, here's just 70 stats out of nowhere. You've been trolling bar on 6 items, let's just add this one in, which is like 2 items in one.
And look at this Pango. Good old Giants ring. He's just a massive Pango now.
Oh
that Rolling Thunder, man, is going to just be insane.
It's like his legacy, his story is one of how he ate all of his siblings right at this point. It's like, I'm the only Pangolier left. Good god. Coming in though, hook shot through, and they found Disruptor, the perfect target. He doesn't have an Aeon Disc. He has no way of reacting, but with death. They're still hunting.
Buyback is ready.
Analog. Well, there's Lincoln's gone. Rupture follow up, but it's a giant Pangolier. I don't think he cares. Requiem, they're in. They found him. The Hex controls. Well, Somnus is gone.
No buyback.
No buyback for 2 minutes. And the follow-up on the Ghost. He's also going to be going down. Global interrupts the B Black Hole. Chalice with a secondary, but they just don't have the damage anymore. They can't win the fight. Lumiere is taking on everything that RNG can throw at him. Chalice also gone, buyback's too slow from Ghost, and it looks like this game is going the way of South America.
Hokori just likely did it. The tier 5 items come out, and certainly they helped play a role right there, but really that catch initially, and especially to blow up Somnus without a buyback, that was the key, obviously, and the GGs are officially coming out. Hokori will take game 1 over RNG. Here in the group stages. Big win for them. That's a feels good, man. Coming out for Hokori.
Absolutely incredible shot out of Hokori. You know, RNG is seen as one of the biggest threats, right? The most likely series that they are going to end up with a loss in, but whew, man, the way they played this was phenomenal. Wow. I think from a laning perspective and on, they've done a phenomenal job, and I don't want any arguments on this. When I get to the